Hello, everyone. Welcome to the April Audit and Finance Committee meeting. We have a few items to go through, and Ms. Roaring, if you want to go forward with item 1.1, please.
Thank you, Mr. Levinstein. Item 1.1 is the monthly reports from the claims auditor.
Mr. Rory, any questions at all with that?
No questions.
Rory, Mr. Walker, any questions?
No.
Okay.
1.2 is the monthly bills and reports.
Okay. Any questions on that end?
Nope.
No, we're good. Okay. 1.3.
1.3 is the property tax report card that corresponds to the 23-24 proposed budget that will be filed with SED the day after the board approves the budget.
Okay, and this is for taxing the local municipalities? Is that what this is for?
So this is actually an informational item that is required to be mailed to every voter in the district. That includes the information in terms of the proposed tax levy, so that they know that we are again proposing a 0% tax levy increase. It shows what we could have levied. And it also then goes on to show the district's assets. So it shows our unassigned fund balance, and it shows each of our reserves and the amount in each of those reserves.
Okay, and there's some item in red here. Is that a change in the law or no?
No,
Okay. The reserve account for the teacher's retirement system?
that happened some time ago,
Okay,
and we did establish that reserve. It is a sub-reserve to the employee's retirement system as required in law.
any questions? No?
No.
Good, okay. 1.4, please.
1.4 is a required property tax refund based on an incorrect assessment.
Oh, that's to make a correction.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody? Mr. Dory, Mr. Walker, any questions on that? No? Okay. 1.5.
1.5 is also property tax refunds that are judgment order.
Any questions on that?
Only that they're fairly substantial.
Mhm.
I'm afraid so, yeah.
Yes.
No. 1.6.
1.6 is a recommendation from an RFP award for E-rate services because this service was in excess of $20,000. We went out on an RFP, and Ms. Peterson, in conjunction with Mr. McGuire, recommending a change in vendor for this service going forward.
So,
Service provider.
Mr. Walker, any questions on that?
Well, I wanted to go back to the RFD, was it RFP?
RFP?
Right. What circumstances, because I am not a finance person, so what type of circumstances could create something where this amount of money would go back as a refund?
So the tax refunds?
Yeah.
So in 1.5, the district's attorney intervened on our behalf. So he worked in conjunction with the attorneys from the other municipalities that were impacted to review what the requested reduction in assessment was. And the resultant reductions in assessment here, there are 4, are based on the agreement across the municipalities with the petitioner who came forward and said, I believe my property is overassessed.
Okay, so it's one petition.
In each case, there was one petitioner, but there are a couple of different property owners here. One appears to be Fidelco, the other one is KH Orange, and the third one is the Lavanos Group. So there were 3 different parcels that were part of that one resolution.
Okay, so that was well the way that was. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dory, any?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, so if we can go to the E-rate one. So the E-rate, we're asking for an RFP because it's over $20,000.
We conducted the RFP process because it was over $20,000. We had been using BOCEs, but this value came in much lower. And Ms. Peterson is comfortable with the services that they're going to provide and is jointly recommending that with Mr. McCoy for E-rate services next year. So E-rate, we get somewhere between $300,000 and $350,000 a year back That's a federal program that allows us to support some of our technology needs in the districts. But there is a lot of paperwork and structure in that process.
Mhm.
So we contract for a support service to complete all of that on our behalf. And that's what this is.
Okay. Mr. Dore, any questions on that, or
No,
Mr.
sir.
Walker?
We're good.
Okay. Okay, next one, please.
Item 1.7 is a recommendation for an RFP award for district-wide transportation beginning in the 23-24 calendar year, or fiscal year, I should say fiscal year. It will include summer of 23, so it's more than a school year agreement.
So, I mean, I have a few questions on that, but Mr. Dore, do you have any on this specifically? Or Mr.
No.
Walker? So this is a whole new way of doing busing for this district after many years, correct?
Yes and no. So the district has done RFPs over the last few years. And this is the 5th year of an RFP that resulted in an award to West Point Tours. This is the first time that we have been able to do a comprehensive RFP and put the entire district out for an RFP award because all of our vendors were up for renewal.
Mhm.
So we could take that opportunity. So this is a comprehensive revamp. It gives us the chance to look at how we do transportation going forward. In previous years, through 22-23, we were renewing previously awarded contracts. So the route was already structured and we didn't have the opportunity to make any adjustments to that because that's what was bid and that's what it was. So this gives us a chance to really step back and say, all right, what is the most efficient way? We shouldn't see 2 buses running in tandem down the same street, picking up to go to the same school anymore because I can say, oh, this one bus is going to grab all the kiddos on the street and take them to that school. So it really gives us a chance to look at, we hope for some cost savings, but what we anticipate is that there will also be some reduction in time, rider time for the students.
So just a couple of questions. So the different vendors all have different amounts. Let's just using the large bus. One is half the price of the other for a 1-hour bus. But they don't have unlimited buses. So is it the cheapest vendor has X amount of buses and then we stop giving him those routes and we give it to the next lowest bidder? Is that what we're going to be doing?
Generally, yes.
So, I mean, I guess that's going to be hard to figure out how that's going to play out.
So yes and no, because the routes will be completed and once the routes are completed, we will know the duration of the routes. So it will be a little bit more of an analysis, not just, hey, West Point, you were the cheapest, so we're going to give you the first 20 large buses. There may be a deeper analysis that looks and says, all right, who had the best price for a 6-hour run? And that may be the one who gets that because that's the most cost-effective way for us to do it. So it's going to be a little bit more complex as we come into the.
No, I understand that. So, but I was looking at I'm guessing this is up to 61, meaning they have 61 buses, hopefully, and that's the most they can take, even if we wanted to give them more,
Yes,
which they couldn't do that.
that is correct.
Okay. And one has 2 buses that are large buses. So obviously they're not getting much, even if they were the lowest, they can only get 2 runs also. So
they wouldn't be the lowest on that per se because the lowest price is the first company listed on the award. We work our way through the pricing structure as we're awarding based on how many trips we ultimately need. So we're awarding based on equipment. And then as we determine what we need, we would assign the different routes to the vendors.
So, okay, and we don't know at this point how many routes we're gonna have.
We do not.
We may have a vendor that doesn't get anything then in theory, correct?
It's possible, but what we have seen, last year we did awards up to as well when we did the RFP for 22-23 and needs continue to arise during the year. So in some cases we had to split up a run because it got too long. We've had new enrollees and out of district placements. We've had new Kenny-Bento students that we have to provide transportation for. So what we have ended up doing is generally using every single piece of equipment we've awarded just because those needs are dynamic and we can't possibly project them all. So we may start out in September that way, but that's where we're finding ourselves in April.
All right, so just a quick thing, because we are gonna have the resolution for the consultant for that, which will affect it. Are decisions made by central office, or is it gonna be made by the transportation department for who gets what, or when do you split a bus route or things like that?
So those recommendations are made by the Director of Transportation. Generally to myself, we agree. If we needed a second opinion, then we go to the superintendent and we ask what she would recommend that we do.
I see this as a lot of work for people this summer.
Incredible amount of work.
To get ready.
I
Mhm.
would think.
Yes,
That's a lot of logistics.
it is a lot of logistics and the fact that we're 3 tiers. So a bus can do 1 tier, 2 tiers, or 3 tiers, or you can make,
Generally, they would do multiple tiers. There are some runs that are too long, so they might do 1 and 3 instead of doing 1, 2, and 3. But in district, they're generally 3 tiers unless the start time precludes them from doing that. So some of our non-public schools, they would only run 2 tiers. They might run a 1 and a 3. But usually we don't have a bus that just does 1.
that's gonna be a tough, time-consuming job.
But as long as we can save the district money.
Well, that's hopefully-
We don't mind the hard.
Well,
work,
yeah, hopefully that will
Forgetting
be the
the hard
case.
work.
That and reducing the amount of buses out there and saving time.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
I see those buses staged early in the morning out there, you know.
Yeah.
So they're, that might be helpful too. All right. Very good. So if we can go to the next one, which is, kind of associated with this.
Yeah, item 1.8 is also an RFP recommendation to award. This is a transportation efficiency and zoning study. So we are enlisting the services of an outside professional to assist us with the logistics of routing an entire district. It is an incredibly large task, and we do not have the internal capacity to do all of that.
Mr. Dore, do you have any questions on that?
I'm just looking at the disparity in the bids. Now, so they're going to essentially look at our whole system.
They're basically going to take so they are experts in transponder, which is the system that we use. That was one of our prerequisites.
Okay.
And they will be able to look at where all those kiddos populate on the map and where their destinations are and help us design the most efficient routes to get them there. The district hasn't done something like this in decades. So it's a big undertaking, but it's something that's probably long overdue. So that we can really try and make commitments here.
Do we have any familiarity with the lowest bidder there, or they're just the lowest bidder?
we've tested the distance before the district,
Mhm.
according to the other transportation director, yeah.
We had a bit of a zoning study done several years ago. With
Okay.
Ms. Coyne used one of the consultants to do that work.
Mhm.
When we look at the efficiency piece, we're also looking kind of at a zoning. So we want to say, all right, the kiddos in this area, are they going to a local school or are we traveling the whole way across the district for a school? And if so, why? Does that make sense? So there is some look at that in the process of doing the routing. So it's kind of a two-pronged approach.
Mr. Walker, any questions?
No.
So the question I would have is are they, or the criteria we're going to set for them? If there's a student that lives at this house and goes to this school, they're going to create a seat for that kid. Even if that child never goes on the bus? Is that the way we design our system?
We have to provide transportation to all students unless they notify us that they will not be using district transportation.
So a parent could notify, my kid is not going to come use it all year, not on a daily basis, on a yearly basis for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Because I don't know what the count is, but I don't think it's a great percentage that end up using the bus every day.
So we also do monitor ridership. And because of the way this is structured, we can continue to look at that as we go forward to try and make sure we're being as efficient as we can, because we aren't locked into specific routes. We have more influence and control on how that goes. We haven't.
Okay, but we still have to allow a worst case scenario for the state, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that everyone's gonna get on the bus in one day, which I don't know if it'll ever happen, but
So
have to
they
be prepared.
route in compliance with REG and also in compliance with the district transportation policy, because our policy is generous, then the regulation will require us to be in terms of offering transportation. So we have to consider both those things.
No, we're using Transponder now, correct?
Yes.
Are we using the company Transponder or just their equipment for our people?
So we use their software program, and we have used them to provide some professional development and training to the staff in the transportation department to kind of continue to enhance their knowledge and capacity to use the system.
All right, next.
The next is our Spring Athletic Transportation Award Part C. So we have put this out a couple of times, as you can see from our letter. We are still looking to make some awards. We have trips that have not yet been bid, despite the multiple points out to bid. So right now, the transportation office is working directly with some of the vendors to try and secure someone to provide transportation to those trips that have not yet been responded to. In addition to this award, we're asking you to approve tonight.
So, okay, so I'm sorry, what are we at, what is this resolution asking for then tonight?
You to approve,
Yeah,
looks like 38 additional
oh, okay, just,
athletic runs that we
Wait.
have bids on at this. We've had to continue to rebid because they were not all
Okay.
responded to.
okay,
So at this point, we're not going to rebid. We're working directly with the vendors to try and
Oh,
get
okay.
quotes for the specific trips that remain.
Mr. Torre, any questions?
No.
Mr. Walker? Okay,
Okay, and the last item, 1.10, is a resolution to approve a budget transfer in excess of $200,000 in compliance with the board's policy.
any questions on that?
No. Good.
Mr. All right, so, that's just to cover true costs and transfer monies to make it go in the right general ledger account.
Yes, so at this point, we anticipate needing those additional funds in that specific code based on the billing that we are seeing to get us through the end of June. We are continuing to monitor that, and we'll make any additional adjustments if needed to make sure we can close out the year.
Okay, so now we having executive session we having one?
We
To
should have a
speak
very
to
brief
A
one
brief executive session.
around internal claims and
For contracts that we have. Yes.
employment of
Okay.
specific individuals. in a
Employment of a
specific
specific individual. That's it. Thank you. Thank you.